Here's something I internalized recently that I didn't like to hear, I didn't want to hear, but that is all salespeople do better when micromanaged. My parents in the early 90s had a business selling colored latex gloves. They were actually one of the first companies to sell purple latex gloves. And this was right when gloves became mandatory for doctors to wear. His entire business was built on aggressive cold calling. They would call dentist offices and anyone else who could use these gloves. And it was usually as simple as, hey, we have gloves. And then they would buy it because it was during a glove shortage. My dad passed away in 2001. I was talking to my older brother about how my dad used to sell, and he said that every day he would go into work for about 30 minutes and he would make sure that the salespeople were doing their jobs. He was the owner of the business, so he didn't, in theory, have to do this. They had sales managers, they had a whole team in place. But he still found that as the founder, he had to micromanage the managers. And I found the same thing at Experiment 27. I can maybe go a week and a half without checking in on our CEO or our directors, but if I go any longer than that, our numbers dip across all accounts. Right now, we're in a really good spot where we're crushing it for every single account. Everyone that's an X27 client right now is either way above their number or on track to be way above their number in the next few months. And that came from letting the managers do their job. But that job that these managers are doing is micromanaging our team. Tiara, who's our director of operations, checks in every single day with our cold emailing team on every account and runs through the subject lines they're using. She looks at the email copy. She goes in and answers any questions. She even gets in there sometimes and writes the emails with them. And I found that if we don't do that, everything stops working. The same was true when I worked at that agency in New York City, when I was just a junior sales guy. The sales director there saw himself as Mr. Miyagi, and he would go in there, I would write proposals, and he would change specific words and cross out half the proposal that I sent to him. And at the time, I thought that sucked. I was like, come on, dude, let me do my thing. I know what I'm doing. Same thing most salespeople probably think. And yet, that year as a junior sales guy, I closed over $750,000 in new sales. The next year I was at 1.25, I think, 1,250,000 in new sales. Second year selling. So there's something to be said for the micromanager checking the work. And it never goes away. At X27, our revenue goal this year is to break $4 million in revenue. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to bring on 3 more salespeople, and our salesperson right now, Austin, is going to have to work in a more scalable way. Right now, our cold emails have ramped up. We're booking an incredible amount of meetings for our company, and he's gonna end up in 25 to 30 meetings a week until we hire another person to take over part of the load. So if he's not following a repeatable process, that's gonna fall apart. And so what we did is Tiara, who's been running our cold email team, is now checking his work, making sure that proposals go out on time, making sure that he has the research he needs for a call, making sure that clients don't fall through the cracks, and that he's following up with people weekly. And all of that hurts him because to him, it's like he's losing the autonomy that he once had. And that's the way most salespeople feel when a manager comes in, or in Tiara's case, she's kind of like the sales assistant to him, even though she's the manager for the rest of the cold email team. So he feels like he loses that autonomy. But what I've seen is losing a little bit of autonomy and exchanging that for accountability leads to incredible results. We've seen the same thing on our cold email team. Last year at this time, our emails weren't repeatable, weren't doing well. We had some clients that were crushing it, and then we had other clients where we didn't get a meeting for weeks at a time. Now it's consistent, but that came from micromanaging every single step of the process. And I did a QA recently. What that means is quality assurance, and that's when I, as a founder, go in to our business and try to see what I can break. And I did that with X27 sales, because that's a huge priority this year. And I started with the top. I started with cold emails. Can I read these emails and find errors? Can I look at our testing process and see any big holes? And I couldn't. And so I moved to the next piece, which is sales. And that was where I identified the hole. It was that we weren't following this process. So we implemented the checklist. I'll let you know how it goes in a few months if we're crushing it. If not, there's gonna be more changes. But it's as simple as that. Salespeople love to be free. Salespeople perform better when they're not free. Even for people that think in their mind that they do 10 times better when they're not being managed, they actually don't. And that's what I've learned. It's a hard truth. If you found this valuable, you want to see what we're talking about when it comes to a checklist, you can get the discovery call script that we use over at experiment27.com/discovery. If you want us to do sales training for your company and you want billion-dollar brands and cornerstone clients in most B2B niches, as long as you sell to businesses, we can help. Go over to experiment27.com. We'd love to talk. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video if you found value in it. And I will talk to you later. I am Alex Berman.